Any of you in here ever practiced yoga? Oh, wow, really? We only have a few hands? Okay, I hope to see by the end of my speech, by the end of my talk, I hope to see all hands go up. I hope you all try yoga eventually. All right? So now I want to come into my talk, yoga and mental health. So I know two of these concepts are completely somehow different from each other, but at the same time they're connected. So mental health, what do we know mental health as? Mental health is safety too. In order to work in the corporate jobs that you do, you need to have that proper mindset in order to do something. So I'll share my story with all of you. When I was 4, as Sudha introduced me, I got introduced to the concept of yoga. So my family and I moved to Vancouver, BC, from Sri Lanka. I was born in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and at the time I was in grade 3, so I was very young. So I was, Vancouver was a new place for me, new environment, and I eventually entered a new school. So when I went to my first school in Canada, I honestly was so excited. It was a new environment, new teachers, and I eventually met my classmates. Now, my classmates saw me as the quote-unquote new girl. Oh yeah, she's new. What are we supposed to do? That type of mindset. So when I talked to my classmates, what turned out as a mockery ended up being bullying. So this eventually continued till I was in grade 6. And to combat that somehow, my parents suggested, Swathi, you need to get to yoga and meditation as soon as possible. So I did. I practiced meditation. I introspected myself. I did introspection. And it helped me along the way. It helped me evolve from an adolescent to an adult. So coming into my platform, post the pandemic, during the pandemic, I was facing anxiety and depression. And I didn't know how to cope. I didn't know how to cope that. So I did yoga, I did meditation, and that helped me along the way. And I decided I wanted to share this practice with everyone. This helped me. So why not share it with everyone else? So I created my platform called A Yogi's Perspective, and I created a community of 1,000 plus community members from all over the world. And through that, I also host a podcast called Inside the Minds of Great Yogis, and I had the opportunity to interview 50 plus guest speakers who are yoga teachers from all over the world. And these yoga teachers talked to me about their journeys in yoga, how they got started as a yoga teacher, and why all of you in this room should be practicing yoga. So coming into my platform, it really helped me understand why it's important to share the practices of yoga with everyone. Now, let's talk about mental health. How many of you here know what the common cause of mental health issues are? Any ideas? I hear crickets. Any ideas? Yes. Anxiety, okay. Yes? Stress, okay.
I agree. Cell phones.
Cell phones, very good. Very good. These guys, cell phones. So we all have it. It's in our pockets. Some of you are holding it up. And cell phones are a big cause for these mental health issues. Many of us are scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, chatting with a lot of friends, all that fun stuff. And I will say, these cell phones, iPads, and laptops are super useful. They're amazing, so resourceful. And the new platform, ChatGPT, it's amazing, right? Very useful. But at the same time, it can bring negative effects to one's health. So I'll give you a scenario. I'll tell you a scenario. So I was at a party and I was getting food, and I saw this young girl throwing a tantrum. She was crying. She was throwing a tantrum. And I just looked at her and I'm like, what is going on? I'm just trying to get my food here. Right? Like I was excited, I'm getting some food. And she was right over here crying, throwing a temper tantrum. So I was kind of watching as I was grabbing my food, grabbing my things, and her mom comes up and she decides to give her the phone. And the crying, the tantrum immediately stops. And I look at that, I was like, wow, really? And so I look into it a little closer, and she ends up playing Candy Crush on her phone. And the crying, the tantrum, all of that stops. So technology does have an impact in our day-to-day lives. I know many of us have these phones. I know it is so important. These can be lifesavers. But at the same time, these can also bring negative impact to our overall mental health. We use them, I know, making calls, making new connections, LinkedIn, all that fun stuff. But these can also have a negative impact to our overall mental health. So in order to combat that, yoga and meditation practices are essential. We need to get started into getting into yoga and practicing mindfulness and meditation. Now, I know I did ask many of you how many of you practice yoga, and I saw very few hands. It's okay. Eventually we'll get everyone, okay? Why don't we all close our eyes just for a moment? You all look very tired. Why don't we just go relax, wind down? Close your eyes with me. I invite you to close your eyes with me. All right? Let's just take a deep breath in and breathe out. One more time. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. And you can open your eyes. All right. How did that feel? A little better? Okay. So you may be wondering, why should I be practicing yoga? Yoga is beneficial to improve your focus and concentration. And when it comes to, there's also a concept called corporate yoga. So I know many of us are in the corporate field. Many of us are using our technology, laptops in our day-to-day lives. Corporate yoga can be quite essential here as well. So I want to end off my talk by saying yoga has helped me face my own storms and tsunamis. And I hope that yoga can help all of you face your own storms and tsunamis. Thank you again, and I'm just going to pass my QR code. So I'm a 700-hour yoga teacher, and I'm also a student at U of T, as Sudha introduced me. I'm a journalism student. So I'm going to pass this around to everyone, and you can find my platforms, my LinkedIn, everything's on there. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Thank you, Swati. Next, I'm going to call Italo, but Italo, would it be okay if I bring Nendu because she has to